Let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Robert Keston, and let's queer up politics. LGBTQ Florida braces for a next round of hate. DeSantis slams Trump governor's choice and wants his wife. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has slammed Trump-backed Byron Donalds for governor, instead promoting his wife Casey DeSantis as a better choice. Speaking at a Tampa press conference, DeSantis dismissed Donald's contribution, saying, quote, "You've got a guy like Byron. He just hasn't been a part of any of the victories that we've had here over the left over these last years. He's just not been a part of it. He's been in other states campaigning, doing that, and that's fine," end quote. Instead, DeSantis praised Casey, saying she'd do, and I quote, "do better than me," unquote, and has the fortitude and intestinal fortitude to lead Florida. Casey DeSantis is a former TV anchor and influential political advisor, enjoys higher name recognition among Florida Republicans than Donald's. For LGBTQ Floridians, this signals more conservative attacks are coming. Casey, like her husband, champions hardline, extreme right policies, often targeting queer groups. With tensions rising, Florida LGBTQ community is bracing for another political battle. Just this week, DeSantis' new AG appointment filed a lawsuit against Target for its Pride merchandise in stores during Pride Month. It is insanity. We have sort of grown used to it. The danger is that we start to think it's normal. But in Florida, if you recall, Target put all its Pride stuff in the back because they were so afraid of having anything Pride. I think, and I hope, that they'll be bolder this time because the attacks are so abhorrent and the political climate has so elevated. But if I'm not mistaken, Target also did away with DEI. So these companies are trying to walk a very fine line. I think it is vitally important that as a community, locally, nationally, that we make outreach to corporations that we have not done in a while. We grew accustomed under a freer DEI society to expect certain contributions. We got fat on those contributions. And when those companies got severed from DEI, they also severed themselves from us because we didn't have the relationships that we really needed to have. And this is the example of that. And the idea that Casey DeSantis could be the governor or Matt Gaetz, who was also thinking of running, I mean, you can only go so low before you have to rebound. And Florida is ready for a rebound. I don't think that any Republican should be left standing on this platform going into the next gubernatorial election. We have to organize not based on party affiliation, but based on what is right. We are not doing that. And we are invisible on our side of the aisle.
He wants to keep it in the family, too, because let me tell you, he's up in 2 years, right? 2026, I think. He can't run again for governor.
No, he can't.
So if he could, believe me, he wouldn't be pushing his wife. He'd be running again.
Absolutely.
It's the fact that he can't run again. He's having his wife go so they can still stay in power, because I think in many ways he's going to be the puppet master. You know, he'll still be there in her ear.
Well, he also wants to run for Marco Rubio's seat as being being our senator. So that would put both of them in power in the same state of Florida, which is frightening. But I think it's important to remind people who, you know, we have an attorney general that's suing Target about Pride merchandise. We should have an attorney general that is suing insurance companies, because we have the highest rate of car insurance increases in the country. We have the highest rate of homeowners insurance, that people can't even insure their homes. That's what a real attorney general who cares about people and what's happening in their lives. We have the highest food inflation. You know, inflation is happening everywhere. Florida is typically at the top of those lists. We are not ranked in the top for education, which is another issue. We're more concerned about banning books and making sure that children can read. So there's a lot of things a real attorney general could do to actually support the lives of people in Florida, but they're not doing that. What they're doing is finding scapegoats to make themselves look relevant to get news headlines by coming after a company like Target for Pride merchandise. At the end of the day, I could care less. If I would like that Target sells Pride merchandise, but I would also like to be able to make sure that people can afford their groceries. Target is much more important. We can make our own Pride merchandise outside of Target, but it's more important. And this idea of this nepotism of having, Trump, is trying to place, his family into other offices, and now we have DeSantis following that same strategy. It's this whole idea of kind of having a system where it's not about elections anymore.
No,
it's about
entitled
elites coming into power. So I urge the Democrats, we should be announcing and having candidates starting now. Hopefully we get some strong candidates to run for governor. We need them. We need them to start now, and we need our community to rally around them and support them, because unfortunately, we talk about name recognition. The statewide Democratic Party, name recognition is very low for most Democrats, because we have not been in power in this state for so many years.
Yeah, but even with that, Charlie Crist was known. He was a governor. He was a member of Congress, and it didn't work. And it didn't work.
He was also a Republican.
But it didn't work partly because there is no movement within our community. Our complacency and apathy outweighs the efforts of a party. This has to be from the ground up. People have to understand that a good citizen in the United States of America is someone who is committed and engaged in the process. And we have not been. And that's why nobody knows who the other side is. And that's why Miami-Dade is not blue anymore. It's not even purple.
No. Well, I don't know how powerful this is going to be, but I know that on Friday, there's a boycott within especially, I don't know if it's across the board.
It's national.
It's national. Okay. Yeah, a boycott. No money spending on Friday. And I know I'm going to try my darndest not to spend a cent. And it sounds like a little, but if you have a mass amount of people, maybe some of these retail stores will wake up.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. And how do you hurt people? In the pocketbook, or in the pocket. So I'm going to try my best, and we'll see what happens. I mean, there's power. I mean, look at, and I don't want to go all the way back, but look at the Montgomery bus protest or strike. Boycott, I should say. And they thought, oh, please, really? You black folks, it's going to really hurt us? It went on for a while, but guess what? It hurt them. So,
just look at what COVID did. No cars on the road, no planes in the sky. And the rich people were the ones who were complaining. Don't give them an extra $1,500. Send them back to work.
That's true.
If an illness could make them so angry, just imagine if Americans stayed home. Not a car on the road, not a plane in the air, not a person in a store, not a person in an office. That will send a message, because as you said, that's the only thing they understand. As Donald Trump says, if someone hits me, I hit back harder. Well, we're coming with a sledgehammer.
Absolutely. Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.